Hi, Meredith with Sea Tarot, and I wanted to talk to you today about a few cards, the Eight of Cups specifically, as it can support you with the Six of Swords for this upcoming eclipse. So on Sunday, September 7th, we will have a full lunar eclipse, and there are a lot of strong feelings that people have in astrology and different communities about eclipses, and I just want to start by saying there's nothing to fear about an eclipse. When we talk about eclipses, we talk about eclipse seasons. So when there is a lunar eclipse, about 2 weeks later there is a solar eclipse. This is something that takes place twice, 3 times a year. They're very normal occurrences. There is nothing to be afraid of, and most of your life you probably were growing up and you didn't have any knowledge that there was going to be an eclipse, and you were just fine. So we in the Northern Hemisphere are not actually going to be able to see this eclipse this time. And why mention it, right? So when we deliberately attune ourselves to the cycles of the moon, we see that there's a connection, right? Our bodies are made out of water. The moon rules the tides. We have the sun, the earth, the moon, and the stars. We are always connected to these things. So it is absolutely possible to make ourselves sensitive to what's happening in the world around us and get to say, okay, how does this actually affect me energetically? So I know that for me, there have been some eclipses where I did feel just really big upheavals. And I feel like personally, this eclipse might be one of those as well. And also, there's nothing that you need to do to prepare. There's nothing that you need to do to even do a manifestation ritual around an eclipse. Eclipses come in to just clear out energy that is no longer serving you. So there's really nothing that you need to certainly worry about. But I do want to talk about some ways that you can just consciously attune yourself to this energy and see what kind of an evolution this season can bring. So with that in mind, the card that most often, the card that literally has an eclipse on it. So in the Eight of Cups, we see that there is this person who is walking away from these full 8 cups, and he's doing so underneath a lunar eclipse. And he's got these craggy rocks underneath him. I often think, like, if we were to go climb the coast of California, the Lost Coast, we'd have to time it so that the tide was out. When we have an eclipse, we have a full lunar cycle that takes place over the course of a few hours versus a month. So there is this opportunity, this energetic upgrade that we can kind of hijack and get on board with, and we're not going to get to drive it, right? It's going to come in quickly, and we're not the ones that are going to be charting it. So when we think about that, the card that I think about is the Six of Swords. So in the Six of Swords, we see this gondolier, and there is a adult figure and a child figure. They're in a boat. There's 6 swords that are pointing down, and they're going from what was, rough waters to what will hopefully be smooth waters. And the nice thing to remember in the Six of Swords is that we are not the gondolier. We are not responsible for charting the course. So what does this mean? So when we're in our cups, cups is our emotions, it's our feelings, it is our heart center. We are ready to move forward, and there are unknowns. In this exploration of the unknowns, there's fear. Anytime that we are going to be going from one place to another, energetically, emotionally, intellectually, physically, we are going to have some grief when we're leaving something behind, right? If we're doing it in a way that is transformative, it's normal to say, I'm going to have to hold hands with my grief for this, right? And of course, what does the brain want to do? It says it wants to protect us. It says, no, that sounds terrible, right? Let me be in charge. Tell you what, I'll make sure that we pack everything, and I'll make sure that I got the agenda, right? I don't want to release. When we come to the Six of Swords, this is where we can say, brain, I know that your job is to try to keep me safe. I know that I'm asking you to take a journey where I actually don't know, right? When we're in the Eight of Cups, we're not certain that there's going to be 9 cups on the other side, right? We really liked those cups. We worked hard to fill them up. They were good cups. When we look at the Five of Cups, We see similarly, right, here are these 3 cups that we really liked, and these cups were never going to come with us, and for us to experience the growth, we had to just lose them to actually, right, to see them be spilled. Not so in the 8 of Cups, right? In the 8 of Cups, we're leaving them stacked, right? We're leaving them behind. So for this Sunday, for this eclipse season, all you get to think about, all you have to do, right? What is it that you would love to have an evolution, right? Where specifically does it feel a little bit maybe scary? Where does it feel a little bit like you would have to walk through some unknowns in order to do that? And then say, thank goodness, right, that I am not responsible for the waves reaching the shores of Maui, right? That I did not have to create the peace, that I get to be an instrument of the peace. That when I am wanting to be witnessed by my highest self, right, my wisest self, it's not in judgment, right? It's not in judgment, and that we have fear, right, isn't going to keep us from making this journey. Yeah. So practical things that you can do if you feel like you want to honor this eclipse in an intentional way. You can write down whatever it is that you feel like you are ready for a release. So if you have regrets, if you have resentments, if there are relationships that you are showing up to in a way that no longer feels authentic to who you are, where you want to be, go ahead and use your pen and your paper and your brain and list it and just write those things down. You don't even have to do anything more than that, right? You can offer them to a flame, you can throw them away, you can put them into water, right? But simply by saying, I'm just going to write these things down, and now that they're out in the world, I no longer need to hold on to them. This is also a good time to allow yourself to be witnessed. So if you have a wonderful processor, if you have a therapist, if you have a group therapist, right? If you're in a 12-step program, if you are in a great friendship that you know somebody is just going to show up and just listen, right? That this is not something that is, sometimes when we manifest, right, there are goals that we have and that we're like really trying to expand in a deliberate way, and we even might want to have something to achieve. This is not that moment, right? This is a release, right? So anything that you can do to witness yourself, to invite support. Chanting is another support system that a good friend of mine has recently introduced me to, which is new. So again, any practices that feel like they give you the space to be in the dark, feel your feelings, and remind yourself that this isn't growth opportunity, that you are not supposed to have all of the answers at this moment. You're not going to be allowed to chart the course, and this is for now. So I hope that this message finds you well and that you have a wonderful weekend, and I'm always here. Thanks.